Hey guys, Silverlord here, back again with another action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Masterverse new Eternia Deluxe. Oh boy. Oh, Clawful. Brought to us by the fine folks over at, say it with me now, Mattel. And this guy right here, I'm sure some of you are wondering, why the heck hasn't that crazy Overlord reviewed the Clawful figure from the Masterverse line yet? Well, I'll tell you. It just didn't fit in the schedule. I took a look at Web Store quite a while back, and I said that he had Figure of the Year potential. The same thing qualifies for good old Clawful here, but I will tell you, I think Web Store's chances are a little bit higher than Clawful's here because of the value. Clawful is a deluxe figure, as I mentioned before. Unfortunately, I don't think he meets that deluxe price point quite as well as some of the other deluxe offerings in the Masterverse line. Now, I mentioned in my excuse me, friggin' frog in my throat, or maybe it's a crab, but I mentioned in my new Eternia Faker review that I think it would have been better if he was a deluxe release and came with some swappable armor, maybe a battle-damaged head, some more cohesive weapons, because he's got one orange weapon and one purple weapon, but if you look, most of his accoutrements are purple. It just seems out of place and a bit of an afterthought, if you ask me. Maybe the shield. Funny enough, this guy comes with a shield, if I can find it, right here. Particularly the Stinkor shield from Revelation, and as you can see, the strap kind of came unglued there. So I'm going to have to hit this with a hairdryer and kind of warp that down, but this seems like an afterthought, especially since unlike the Motu Classics shield, it does not look like a crab shell. That said, he does come with one of those as well, which does have a handle on it, but you can't put that in his grippy claw there. It does also have this soft rubber neck piece, but you can clip this onto the back. It will sit on him like a crab shell would. Then of course he comes with his club. That's all you get. You get the Filmation inspired armor, which I already have attached to him because it's kind of a pain in the arse to take off and on and whatnot. And then he does have a bicep kind of bracelet armor piece there, which is actually meant for his left arm, but I kind of want to get a second one of those. Evil villain, looking at you. And put that on that side. But I gotta tell you, it does fit pretty well on the right side. I had to heat up the bicep and pop that arm off, put that armor piece on, then pop the arm back on. But it does fit quite well. So, yeah, Clawful, not exactly worth the deluxe price, I don't think. I think this shell thing could have easily been attached to him in the package, along with the Filmation-inspired harness piece, the bicep armor. In fact, I think we could have got two of those for the deluxe price. What do you guys think? And then, of course, his club, because he doesn't have an alt head, he doesn't have any alt hands, it's just really the base figure. And that kind of sucks. Whereas Faker, I felt, could have benefited from extra accessories. I think Clawful, we could have probably ditched this shield here, which again seems like a bit of an afterthought because it's reused from Revelation, and just given him another one of those bicep armor pieces and put him in the box for 20 bucks. Maybe even made this shell and the Filmation armor one solid piece. Like, sometimes less is more. And hopefully Mattel takes note of that, and in the future, whenever they decide to make another Clawful, they'll not only maybe simplify things to justify the price point, or to lower the price point, I should say, but maybe, just maybe, make him like Too Bad Beastman Whiplash big, because on this guy's bio, it says he could snap ships in half with his claw with a single snap. Are those ships in a bottle? Because this is an average size figure, like a standard, 7-inch Masterverse figure. He's not one of the big Chungus characters we're used to seeing with some of the bad guys in this line. So that kind of blows. I wish he was bigger. But for what we got here, I do still really like this figure. Clawful's one of my guys. You guys know me. I love Scareglow. I love Webstore, Clawful, Merman. I even like Too Bad and Trapjaw quite a bit. But Clawful is one of the top 3. I don't know why. He's just a cool looking crab dude. And he was one of the first vintage figures I had. And in 2000X, he was freaking awesome. Other than his dopey arse Three Stooges voice. Oh, the Clawful. But as far as articulation on this guy goes, his head can look up and down pretty well. It does shift forward and back a little bit, but not a ton. He does look side to side. He does have some tilt. And no pupils either, but he does still have the kind of Jim Henson Muppet brows going on there, just a little bit less exaggerated. He's way less exaggerated. That was the Offspring, for those of you who couldn't tell a 90s rock reference when you heard one, even though it wasn't very good. His shoulders go out. They rotate forward and back. He does have a bicep cut. It works pretty well. Pretty tight on this guy. He does have double elbow. There we go. It's a little stuck. Double elbow. His wrist does rotate. And open, actually. Claw does open. And it is also very tight. Same with this claw over here. Can't open it up. Close it back up. He does have all the torso articulation, but just so I don't mess up the armor, I'm going to leave that alone. He does have the splits and the hips there. Excuse me. Got a couple crabs in my throat in this review. He can kick forward and back. I will say this loincloth is not the softest thing, but if you heat it up, you'll probably make it soft enough to bend that forward. He does have a thigh cut. Double jointed knee, which works, I assure you. Let's see. Wow, the top joints are the tight ones on this guy. Can I get that? There we go. There. Alright, there you go. Double jointed knee works pretty well. It's got a calf cut, which on the right side on mine is relatively tight, but it is working alright now. He does have a hinge in the foot with a rocker, and since he's got the big buzz-off feet, he does have a lot of stability there. It's got peg holes at the bottom of the feet, but you really don't need those. But yeah, man, really cool figure. There's a look at that armor piece. Look at the way it hugs the bicep. It's like it was sculpted for that side. It's very weird. But, yeah, I like this figure a lot, man. But, you know, it does have its shortcomings. That said, if I pop his head off here, you can clip this shell armor to the back. And you can put this on without the harness, but it's kind of intended to be used with the harness. It does clip back there. Nice and secure. Not afraid about busting anything per se, but I will tell you, be careful with stuff. You don't want to manhandle it and mess it up. But I'm popping his noggin back on. There we go. Nothing's overly tight on this guy. I will say I did have to loosen the shoulders up. They're still tight, but they were very, very, very tight. And I mentioned very when I opened him, and I was a little worried about him stressing and stuff, so I just put a dab of soap in there, kind of loosened them up, and they work pretty good now. But yeah, man, look at how tough he looks with that big shell on his back. Excuse me. What the heck's going on with my throat today? I tell you, I drank almost a full personal size Mountain Dew earlier, and it's still not enough. I do like how the weapon just kind of fits in his claw like that. That's very nice, but I'll put the shield on for final thoughts, but I don't want to waste your time futzing around with that, because it is kind of tough to get in there, but it's mostly because it wasn't really made for this figure. Funny how that works. It was made for, I think Stinkor, right? Is that what I said earlier? Did I mention that earlier? I don't know, but with that being said, I like this figure a lot. It is one of the top Masterverse of the year, but as far as being on my top figures of the year, I'm not sure, man. Webstore's giving him a run for his money due to the value, but Clawful is no slouch. I really, 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 did I mention really, like this figure. So, with that being said, let's move right along and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here is good old Clawful, alongside a couple other new Eternia offerings from the Masterverse line. First up, to the left, we have his Lord and Master of Destruction, Skeletor. Barbarian Skeletor, to be exact. And, by the way, when are we going to get a battle armor version of that figure? I mean, seriously, haven't we waited long enough for that? We got battle armor He-Man, for crying out loud. And then, to the right, we have a figure that shares a lot of the same pieces and parts. The new Eternia Buzz-Off, who is, I think, one of the unsung heroes, who is very well sung. A lot of people really like this figure, myself included, even though he does have his shortcomings, particularly with how the armor fastens to him. A really solid figure. For the $20 basic price point, he is amazing. And he might be the one that gets the shield that came with Clawful here, because I saw Dan Larson from Toy Galaxy throw that on his, and it looked pretty good, so have to see about that. But in terms of reuse, Clawful and Buzz-Off share the same arms, at least mostly. Of course, Clawful's got his giant Popeye claw there. He's got that big arse crab claw on the right side. They do share the same legs. They do share the same feet. The calves are actually different. Buzz-Off has some fur details on his, while Clawful doesn't. It's more spiky kind of armor detailing. And then I think they share the same midsection in the torso. So the same lower torso. So yeah, they definitely don't share the same upper torso and head. They do share the same claw hand, but of course Buzz-Off has two of those, whereas Clawful just has the one. And that's pretty much it as far as reuse goes. So while Mattel may do their fair share of reuse, it's done well. It's done at a pretty high level, if you ask me, and they never seem to slouch from giving you your money's worth. At least most of the time. Again, I think Clawful's a little pricey, but that's up for debate, especially when compared to repainted Spider-Man that clock in at the same price. That said, this of course wouldn't be one of my videos without Brother Mandibilith. So I bought the camera with my elbow there. And okay, 11 Spawn, and is it me? Or does Clawful fit in the Men in Red and Black Club? I mean, he does have a little bit of black on his armor, doesn't he? Doesn't he? Maybe. Could earn himself a membership. Maybe not to the top figures of the year, but the Men in Red and Black Club is a pretty exclusive club. I don't even think Webstore has a card for that. So, with that being said, time to wrap things up. Some final thoughts. Overall, and now that I've finally got the crabs out of my throat, not sure what the heck was going on there, but now I can wholeheartedly say that good old Clawful here is by far one of the best additions to the new Eternia subline, part of the Masterverse line, brought to us by the fine folks over at, say it with me now, Mattel. Because I gotta tell you, despite the fact that I don't think he is quite worth the deluxe price point, I don't feel ripped off. There's a lot of new here, and that's really enough for me to feel good about this purchase, because as long as I'm happy with the figure, the price point can kind of be zeroed out. Kinda. You guys know me. I don't make the most money in the world, so the price point still matters as far as what I have to say about figures goes, but as long as I don't feel ripped off or cheated, I can kind of bypass that. Again, kinda. Air quotes. Kinda. Because the stuff that Mattel is doing with this new Eternia subline, part of the Masterverse line, is, as far as I'm concerned, the only thing that really rivals classics at this point. Yeah, there are the Mondos, but those are rich kid toys. Those aren't attainable by the average Joe like me, who likes Masters of the Universe, but doesn't like it to the point where I'm willing to spend $2 a figure, you know, sometimes more. I mean, Battle Cat and Panther are like double that, right? So, as far as I'm concerned, the two best Masters of the Universe lines out there not including the vintage stuff, which is not the best quality-wise, we all know that, but it is, without that, we wouldn't have any of this other stuff, but Masterverse, particularly New Eternia, and Classics are the two best ones. New Eternia has a way better price point, even compared to Classics when it came out, because I think those were always $30 a piece, and I can tell you, after having some, they don't all seem worth that. But if Mattel hires the Four Horsemen, who sculpted and painted Classics, to work on New Eternia, and they did all the characters, oh man, Classics would be done. That would be the nail in its coffin, because the posability's better, the quality, in my opinion, if you ask me, is better, and the price point's better. You can't beat it. You really can't beat it. Despite how good the Classics line looked, it was overpriced, and the fact that it was only online was BS. I don't believe anything that Scott Toy Guru Night Lick My Balls chump says. He's a chump. He's a clown. He's a frickin' monkey. Doesn't know his arse from a hole in the ground. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to sit here and believe everything that fool says. So, with that being said, even though I don't think he's worth the deluxe price point, I still highly recommend you pick this guy up, regardless if he's on sale or not. I still think he's well worth it, just because he is still a solid addition to at least my Masterverse collection anyway. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty happy with him. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this review. Until next time, I'll catch you guys later.